Welcome to TradersArmy.com, defending your right to build wealth and preserve capital for generations to come.
Yeah, Tuesday. It is Tuesday. It is a wonderful day. I hope you all had a great day trading yesterday. Welcome, everyone, to today's edition of the Daily Market Commentary. I am your host, Chuck Fulkerson, as we're about to kick it off. Those of you new to the channel, do me a favor, click that subscribe button down below so that you get the updates as they become available. Let's dive right in. So yesterday on our Daily Market Commentary, we had talked about the S&P as a, we had gapped way up when we were trading up, and my thought process was, I'm not going to be willing to chase this gap. And so one of the things that I had said yesterday, for those of you that watched the video, we had talked about a breakout if it got above this level. Now, funny, we were doing the recording at about 4:30 in the morning, Central Time, and that's exactly where we never did get back up above this 2810 area. Matter of fact, we fell down from that level. And none of this, I said, was quality enough demand for me to be a willing buyer. Matter of fact, I said yesterday, if you were interested, that you could take a short, and the Russell would be the one to be short with, was below this area here. And the Russell actually came back down and completely filled its gap, right? Completely came back down and filled its gap before then rallying higher. So what am I looking at for today? So what I'm looking at for today in the S&P, as we are continuing to move down, we have this, the origin of this gap was really this area down in here, right? Now the Russell bounced off of what essentially is the same as this level right there. I'm actually putting our level a bit lower. Now this is a pretty wide zone, depending on your individual risk tolerances. You may or may not be willing to take this. So once again, I say this oftentimes, but nobody got into this business to be a futures trader. So if you have an opportunity to get long right here and you don't want to trade futures, maybe it's a good idea to trade the options instead of that. The spiders could be an option, or maybe the SPX, the index options on the SPX could also be a way to go. So something to consider. If you want to trade it down as we get to that area, there's a potential for a very small time frame breakdown right about here. This area here has kind of acted as support a couple of times for the last few hours, and there's a chance that we're going to get a little reversal trade right off of where we are right now. 4 a.m. oftentimes serves as reversal times of the day, and so let's see if we get a little reversal off of this level from where we are at this particular moment. So hopefully I'll have this video posted quick enough so that people can take advantage of the move if we do come down. Now, I don't want to just come straight down. I'd like to see us base in front of here before breaking. But if we do, I think at that point your first target is this 2759 area. Would be a very realistic target. We can call the first target here at the gap fill at 2765. But then I think it can go actually below that gap to a secondary target of, call it here, we'll just call it 2760 as a secondary target. And then move your stops, obviously, accordingly. So now, if it does go below there, your stop has to go above the prior pivot. Take note, it's always going to go above that prior pivot. If we go straight down from here, that prior pivot would be way up here at 2782. You would not have a quality reward to risk opportunity in there. And so I've got to make sure that, that's why I would love to see a little bit of basing here before we break down. In the Nasdaq, in the NQ, we've come back and just about filled the gap, not quite, and then we're basing here in front of the gap. So this area down here looks like it's a price magnet, and we'll see if we get that area there. The Nasdaq is just about back to this little potential reversal area right here as well. Crude oil. So yesterday in crude, I had anticipated that we may get a little bounce off of this region right in here. This was a confirmation style entry on a 15-minute chart, simply because it's very, very low probability based on the time of day, right? So in this one, actually, it did come in. It came into the level. Very next candlestick came in and popped through. So you may or may not have gotten your order filled, depending on the exact number that you use. And so we then came all the way to the very bottom of this, and then boom, traded up since that level. So we have a 4-hour level up above us that we are just about to make it back into. But when I go to the 4-hour chart, I now officially have, once we got higher than this, once I got higher than this, I have lower swing lows, I have higher swing lows and a higher swing high, right? By getting higher than this high, this is a swing low, swing high, and this would be a new swing high. So there's all these areas up here of potential supply become that much weaker. And so now I've got to make sure that these are stronger levels for me to be willing to get in. So now I use confirmation style up above me because we've changed our big picture trend direction if we're using the 4-hour as our trend indicator, right? Now, what we could use this for here is an opportunity to get short on a small time frame, because now this becomes a good place to get long on a bigger picture time frame. That would be the proper trade based on probabilities at this point. Would be using the 1-hour level above us as a chance to trade back down into this region here, which now serves as could serve as an area of demand. Okay, now this would be for right now, because we're still in the early parts of this move higher. This would be probably a better opportunity for another confirmation style entry. And you may want to just wait for price to come in here and get long as it comes back out, because it is the beginnings of this upward trend. It's not a fully formed upward trend yet. We just have higher swing high. Remember, I'm using the 4-hour as my big picture. If you're using the 1-hour as your big picture, then it's obviously an upward trend, right? But if I'm using the 4-hour, remember that trend is defined by these swing highs and swing lows. All right, and so it would be a swing low, swing high, swing low. And so now if I define trend like this, which is the way I primarily talk about trend, is looking at swing highs and swing lows, right? Swing low, and a swing low, a swing high, and a swing high. And we got higher than this last high. So that would be the definition of a change in trend, which tells me I'm better off to be a buyer at this point. All right, next, gold. So gold's continuing its move up. I was really disappointed that we didn't get our order filled in gold. I was hoping that this would come back down, get us an opportunity. Not quite there yet. At this point, I feel like I would be chasing. We may get a bit of a pullback into one of these areas down here, but I don't want to chase it. None of this is areas where I'm gonna, want to just jump into a trade. This to me seems like a good opportunity for price to really fall back down. We do have this little area here, but to me, this I don't love the time of the day that this was created. This was an old area up here of supply that then broke through pretty hard, and so now I'm just essentially holding off at this point. I don't want to force a trade, and the big picture is not telling me to be a seller, and so I'm going to hold off for just a bit. Now we are coming to our 4-hour supply up above, where we may see a pretty nice reversal. Looking at our bonds and currency markets, So in bonds yesterday, we did see that rally happen that we had spoken about yesterday in bonds. And so let's see if that rally kind of continues over the next couple of days. Here's our area of supply up above us. We do have an area down here that very well could serve as demand. Now notice it came back up to the gap fill and then just essentially paused, stalled, and blew right through that gap fill before then rallying up throughout most of the day. So we will keep an eye on this area for a potential reversal. In the Aussie we had the gap up, pulled back a little, rallied higher, came back down to the origins of the gap, and then has continued to cruise up from that point. My next big picture supply is somewhere up in here. When I look at quality demand, none of these areas here excite me when it comes to super high quality demand. And I'm going to go down to a smaller time period to see if there's anything in here that I like. And if you notice, this little area here is a retest of this. These are all kind of jumbled up. So, this up looks a lot like this down, and this down didn't have any quality supply. This up has no real quality demand. So this to me is the recipe for price to chop a little bit. Or it may keep going higher, and we've got a 4-hour reversal up above us. In the euro, so in our euro level, yesterday we had a really nice entry on the euro confirmation style, and it came down and it hit our target. And then now we've come back up and we've hit our entry on this short time frame. Now, if you took this euro short, because our bigger picture has started to head up, let me put our 4-hour chart. If you did take this euro short on this bigger picture because it's starting to head up, I would move my stop to break even now. Okay. So if you entered the euro short, move your stop to break even because it's slightly lower probability since we put in that higher swing low and that higher swing high. We can still get a really nice run out of it, but let's move our stops in order to protect any profit that we have. On the Canadian dollar, much like the crude oil level, we actually came down and we gave it a touch and then a little bit of a bounce off of it. So you actually wound up getting about a 3-to-1 reward to risk on this one. And then the second time through, it came down and bottomed just below it before then, boom, popping higher. So you may have caught that little move. Let me know in the comment section below if you did catch that little move up on the Canadian dollar. In the Aussie, in the British pound and the yen. So Great British pound, I talk about that this could be valid, but I needed to see basing before it. And this is exactly why I needed to see basing before it. Notice we came here, no basing, popped through it. And then we came to the area that I have continued to use for the last few weeks. This just further intensified the potential for a breakout below this area. The fact that we didn't break out below the area. So now we're still in between two levels, and I'm going to wait until price gets to one of these levels before I'm interested in it. This one I'm going to change to a confirmation style entry, however. Simply because I want to make sure that we give it the we hit it once, moved down, based below it the second time, so the strength of the level is a bit weaker. Japanese yen, this didn't work at all. We came up to our 15-minute level, blew right through the area, and it's really moving up higher. That little 15-minute zone. And remember, 15-minute levels are always going to be a bit weaker, but that set up an opportunity now right here on the 1 hour. So all of those become, a lot of opportunities are kind of rearing themselves. But yesterday, was one of those days that if you took the Russell on the short side, you had a great move. The Nasdaq opened up after gapping up, came into some supply. Let's see what happens as far as today goes with some of the areas and breakdowns that we talked about to see if they meet entry. Although we're seeing a little bit of bullishness right now in the S&P, I want to see a little bit of basing before that little breakdown level. So that is all I have for today. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to shoot me an email. Until tomorrow, I will talk to you soon. Later.